Over to I'll leave it over to you and Dan, but I appreciate you putting on this training for us, Jody.
Okay, thank you. All
All right, take care.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks, Dan. Bye.
Okay. A lot of you probably were at the agency admin. We are going to focus straight on data entry. I will go with, let's see, this meeting. Do I have it for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have it going
Okay.
until 12.
All right, so we'll see. We will, we're really going to focus on just straight up data entry. We've already, just some of you that are caseworkers, we have done a little introduction as agency admins into this. Every agency is going to have an agency admin, but I'm getting the cart before the horse. So let me welcome you. If I see most of you are turning your cameras off when there are so many people. That sometimes helps with the lag if you're having that. We're also having, I'm calling you in from Iowa, and we're having a big windstorm, but hopefully it'll be after. But if I lose connection, I will attempt to come back on. And so you can all just hang out if that's needed. Hopefully that won't be needed, but I do like to mention that. And Dan's probably used to that, so you can follow his lead. I want to welcome you to your first ever data entry training. Let me get my windows arranged here. Oh, and then Leanne put in the chat, Dan, that Wendy and Leanne are both at one. Okay. I'm going to have Dan watch the chat window. So hopefully he can tell me, but if you have questions as we go along, you can type them in the chat. If it's something pertinent to what I'm showing you on the screen, I have no problem with you unmuting and asking a question also. So we are a large group though, so make sure it's pertinent to what I'm showing you. Otherwise, put it in the chat, type it in the chat, and we'll cover it as we go along. Dan can bring it up at whatever appropriate place if he knows. Otherwise, just let me know when I take a breath. So I do want to, this is your new HMIS database. It says it's Servicepoint. We are in the middle of a name change, so you may hear Community Services or Servicepoint. They're one in the same. And I work for WellSky. So WellSky is the organization that has the software. And I have worked with WellSky for about 8 years. And prior to that, I was a system admin. And prior to, but like for 6 years for a statewide implementation. And then prior to that, I was an agency admin. And then prior to that, I was an end user. I'll just say I'm old, right? But I was an end user to start off with. And so I would enter like 500 clients a month. We were supportive services only. So my heart is with end users. I do try to make it worthwhile and easier, as easy as possible. I am going to be demonstrating today just a basic, we just need to start with the basics. So this will be a basic workflow that everyone in your implementation is going to do. In January, we will try to do some more focused ones, like if you're a VA, you know, here's some different things that VA tracks more services. If you find out, you know, something that you tracked in ETO, you want to be able to track it in here. We will customize, but that will all be in January. Right now, everybody's new. So we want to get you familiar with that basic workflow, get you familiar with Servicepoint. And then we can look in January doing any kind of customizations. If we see an area you're struggling with, maybe do some more intense training on that and that type of thing. After we get done with this training, I do have a little cheat sheet that just says step 1, click here, step 2, click here, and it has a few pictures, but it's basically, I would like you to use that for the first few that you enter. And we know this is over Christmas, so and just all the holidays, New Year's Eve and everything. So we know that it wasn't our choice, but as much as possible, we need you to be entering and getting familiar with the system. So your first point of contact is going to be your agency admin. You may be the agency admin, but if you're a caseworker, every agency has at least one agency admin. So as you are struggling or have a question, your first point of contact will be your agency admin. They can reset your passwords if you're having trouble with that. Some of you wear both hats, but everybody should know who that person is. And then the agency admins can contact Martha, who will be the system admin, and Dan is her backup. So today he's already backing up. And so Martha and or Dan, you can contact them. Any agency admin can contact them. If your agency admin happens to be sick, you can contact them. So they'll be the next point of contact. And then and then they can contact WellSky. Right now, since I am helping with the implementation, they can contact me. And then eventually, as you get going, they will be able to contact WellSky support, to get help there also. But I just like to keep just a reminder that in general, it will be the line of communication will be worker to agency admin and then to system admin. Everyone is new, however, so thank you for being patient as everyone learns. So it is a stressful time to change, to make changes. So we appreciate patience. And sometimes I just have to take a deep breath because you know how to do it in the old system, and it will take a little bit of learning to learn how to do it in the new one. Hopefully I've made it simple enough that you will fall in love with it. So after the training, you're going to get a login to your live site. There is a training site. If any of you want access to the training site, you just want to practice, that is a site that, you wouldn't put in real customers, you wouldn't put in real clients, but you would, you can make up a name or something. And if you want to practice or mess around, that's what the training site is for. However, we will be giving you live site, what we call live, which is just your real database with all the security applied, and you will be entering your information there. Well, I don't know, at 5 p.m., Martha will be downloading a file from ETO today, or maybe Dan will, but that will be all your historical data in ETO. So as of 5 p.m. today, you will need to, like for Thursday or anytime after 5, you need to track it on paper, any of your information. So it takes a few days to align the data from ETO into the live site. But by Monday, your live site's going to be available for data entry. So this coming Monday. So up to today, we're going to be importing your historical data. You'll not, that way you won't have to enter new, any clients, just brand new clients that you put in the system. And we're going to kick that final export off and add all the users, you all, that attend these end user trainings. That's when you get the license for the live site. So on December 20th, you can begin using Servicepoint on the live site, where we gave ourselves a couple weeks leeway. So before you actually do lose access to ETO. So we're going to closely monitor the next couple of weeks and try to iron things out by that December 31st. Because shortly thereafter or on December 31st, ETO will no longer be available. So we realize it's the holidays, like I mentioned, but please start to enter Monday. If you're out on vacation, enter it as soon as you come back so we can iron out those hiccups that are just bound to happen. You'll need to keep a paper copy from Thursday to Monday, but however, I would encourage you to keep a paper copy for the next couple of weeks if you're used to entering your data real time. Just so that you have that to fall back on as we continue to work in the system. I was going to ask Martha, but Dan, do you have anything you want to add about the timeline?
No, other than just reinforcing that, feel free to contact Martha and I, with any questions. We'll be happy to be of as much assistance as we can.
Okay, great. So the agenda today, oh, and Dan, just interrupt me if someone asks a question in the chat. So I don't have it up right now. So
Will do. No, I'll monitor both that and the participants.
Okay, thanks. So our agenda is to focus on that base workflow that everyone will do. In January, we'll do those focused or targeted trainings as needed for anything additional that I'm not showing you. All right, let's go ahead. I have a few PowerPoint slides because I like to get it in your mind. If I was there in person, I would have like real file folders, but we'll go with this for our PowerPoint. So the first thing I want to mention is just the standard workflow. So you're going to search for your clients. Now, I do know this is different from ETO. This household, if applicable, means if there's more than one. So you will not be doing households if you work with single clients and there's not more than one person in the household. So there will be no household building. And I don't know if you added it each time you did an entry, but you will not need to do that in our system. So it will be more than one person, then you're going to add a household and work on that. We typically, it's a release, but right now that is in the works. So there won't be a release right yet. And then we're going to go right into entry. And then I'm not demoing, but there are services and referrals that some of you will need to do. Then we have some optional areas. I'm going to demo them just so that you can keep in the back of your mind. If you're looking for a case management system, if you've already got one, fine. But there's a couple of areas, the case manager I'll demo today. So you can designate yourself that you're working with that client. And that way everyone will know you're working with that client and you can pull some really nice reports for that. And then the case plans is where you can set goals, add case notes. You can add reminders. Hey, I need to follow up with that client, that kind of stuff. So I will go into detail there. Another point of it's really important to remember that our system is longitudinal. So if I ask, are you employed? And I collect that data on July 1, or I collect that data on May 1st. And then I go into the system and I don't backdate. I don't say, hey, I collected this data on May 1st. And I just come in and start entering it as of, let's say, July 1st. I would just start entering the data and every single answer gets time stamped and date stamped saying it was true. So if I come in and I say, hey, They were employed, yes. I answer yes. It gets that stamp of July 1st. If I then go in and say, oh, but the client actually entered on May 1st, all this data won't show as true. So you want to make sure that you backdate. And we've hopefully made it easy, but I want you to remember backdate is that information date. When did you collect it? When did you collect it? That's the date that you want it to be assigned that answer. Then our system, if I say, no, they weren't employed on their entry date, maybe that is May 1st, I say no. Later on, they get a job and I say, are you employed? Yes. Later, our system will pull that out so that we know on entry it was no, and while they were in your program, it turned to yes. So we can pull those out and do comparison and outcome reporting. So can't stress that enough. It will be very, very important to do that. We have a pop-up, so it'll be a nice reminder when you go into the client record. Every client in our system gets a folder put in the virtual file cabinet. So I just want you to keep this picture in mind, that even if it's a baby, they get a client record. So when we do them, we put them all in the file cabinet. So regardless of age, every person gets their own file. Every time I click add client as new, I'm creating a new folder and putting it into the virtual file cabinet. So in that household area, I kind of mentioned it. It will become clear as we go, but I like to start off with just a big overview. So this household tab, when you go and you create a household, more than one person, it's as if you put a paper clip on that. So I want you to always, when you're in the household tab and you're creating a household, I want you to imagine a paperclip. That does not tell the system that they were served or that they entered a project at any point in time, but they're paperclipped together, and then that group of folders travels along. So when I go to do an entry exit, I just check mark whoever entered the project together. So mom and baby entered, I check mark them. At that point is when it gets counted as a family in your project. So we'll go through that in grander detail, but it's a way of simplifying and keeping them together. I go to do a service, I can check who got that service. And then it only goes into their particular file and not the others. If they all do, that's great too. So we'll go ahead and we're going to look first at adding a new client and look at our search. So I will minimize that. I should log out so I can show you. I'm going to log out here. I am on the training site. You will all be on live and it will be blue. Okay, so nice calm blue. I kind of like the orange, but but I'm going to demo it on the training site. So it's just a copy of what's on the live site. You will first log in, and all of your logins are going to be first name dot last name. So if I'm not a part of your system, but if I was, it would be Jody.Miller. Do you know, Dan, are they capitalized? We would have to go look. I'm not sure.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I can't either, but you'll get your login. It'll be your first name dot last name. Right now we have a temporary password. It will be capital, I can't show you, but it'll be a capital W and it'll be winter. So capital W, lowercase winter, and then it's 2021, all one word. So that's going to be a temporary password. So we need you to log into that live site and reset your passwords so that we don't have those as yours. So the first thing when you get it, we are asking you to log in. when you log in with that standard password, winter 2021, and you click login here, it will pop up and say, your password has expired in all red. And then it says, please enter a new password, and there'll be 2 boxes. And in both boxes, you put the same password. It needs to be a mix of letters and numbers and a special character. So, so kind of your standard passwords, but you will put your own password. Only you know, none of us will know your password. It is really important not to be sharing that password. Don't be sending your password via email. Email is not secure. A lot of people think it is. So you want to make sure that you change it right away. That's yours. Everything you do in the system, it lets us know it's you. Even as support, if I go and do something in there, it would say my name. So there is an auditing process. Don't be sharing passwords because whatever's done in there, it shows the user that is doing it. Okay. The other thing is, if you do forget your password, there is a forgot password. It will get sent to whatever the email is on your license. And if you have like a pop-up blocker, please check your junk mail. It might go to your junk. So you'll want to eventually enter, allow pop-ups or allow your security to receive emails. If you still can't get in, then you're going to contact your agency admin who can reset your password. You have three times to try, and then you're locked out. So you have up to 3. I always get nervous on number 3, but it will lock you out. So I have a convoluted one here. So I'm going to log in. Okay, so when you first log in, you will be on your home page. It will say your agency name here. Okay, so I'm going to go do something that only agency admins and system admins can do. I'm going to shadow somebody. So I am going to go over this. I call this the superpower area. Maybe that sticks in your mind a little bit. I'm going to go over in this mode area, and I'm going to shadow. Who did I decide to shadow today? Caitlin. So I'm going to shadow Caitlin today. It says, and what this does, sometimes when I'm helping people, they're like, can you see where I'm clicking? No, I can't see where you're clicking. But I'm not logging into your particular view on your computer. But what I'm doing is I'm wanting to look at the whole thing as if I had logged in as Caitlin. I'm not logging in as her, but it's as if I went out, re-signed in as Caitlin. So I will get her view of everything here. So she is at the Housing Assistance Corporation. All of your license are at the agency level, and we did the agency name in all caps. The projects or programs, whatever you're used to saying, those are in regular cap and lowercase. And that will just help your eyes a little bit as you are working. So we do have a naming convention. Now, Housing Assistance Corporation has a lot of other projects. So I will get into that in a minute. But right now I'm on the home page. I'm up here at the looking at my agency name. So yours will say whatever your agency is. And over on the far right side, it will, in the upper, there's a blue area there, and it will say your name. And there's a little gear icon there. And if you click on the gear, I can't show it to you, but when you all get in there, because I'm support, but when you all get in there, you will be able to put in your email. So if check your email, because that's where the password resets go. So if that would be wrong, then you're going to have trouble resetting your password. So you can change, or if your email change, you can click on the little gear and you can fill out anything that you want to. And there's also a reset password, and you can click that little button to reset your password. However, some people get excited. You have to log in the first time. So you have to log in correctly before you can reset your password. But that little button is nice if you told somebody your password, or you think it's been compromised, or maybe you're like, oh, I never can remember that password. I want to change it to something easier. Anything like that, you can click on that and reset it yourself. There's a blue ribbon here because I am on the home page. That's where you'll always start. In general, this is your navigation area on the far left area here. That's how you're going to get around in the system. So I call this your navigation area. There will be system news here. So you can type in, and this will come from Martha. So she'll be typing, like, hey, there's a training coming up. Hey, the HUD changed some of their data standards. This is the area when there's a new one that you haven't read, it will have like a yellow sunburst up here. So if you haven't read it, you just click on it and read it. And then your agency also has an area where you could potentially write a note here. I just want you to know that everyone that logs in this case, a Housing Assistance Corporation, or if it's another agency, whoever logs in is going to see this. But you can leave a message. I always think if would happen to be nighttime staff or something, or you want to be on the lookout for a particular client or something like that, you can add an agency news, and anyone can do this. But only the people that log in at that agency are going to see it. So, and you could just type it in just like I'm doing. The only thing you have to do is put in a news date. So if all of our date fields have a calendar, so you could click it and you could select one of when that was true. Or if you want today's date, you can just click the calendar with that check mark. And when you do that, it will put the current date in for you. If I want to clear it, I click the little blue icon. So that's how all our date fields work. I'll just pick today and I'm going to save and exit. Now, I will caution you that it takes you out of the home view. So if you do put a message here, then remember that you need to go to the navigation panel on the left-hand side and click on home to get back to the home. But now everyone at Housing Assistance Corporation that's logged into the training site will see a welcome to end user or end training, which didn't make sense. But anyway, I can't talk and type at the same time. But you'll see that little yellow sunburst there. And so that says, hey, I haven't read it. And you can click it and read whatever. You can even add a link. If you need to add a web link, you can do that. Just remember, everyone that logs in sees it. So no nasty grams or anything. Don't yell at somebody. But otherwise, you're good to go there. So that's your own little area for your agency. The follow-up list, I will show you how to set those on your case plan area. You can put little reminders. This is for each user. So me as one user, I can set reminders and nobody else is going to see them. And what it does is it will bring up, it will have a list here of all your reminders, and it has the oldest one first. And if it goes past the date you set as your follow-up goal, your actual date, it will turn red. That date will turn red. So this is a really cool area. Always fascinated me. I like to be able to set reminders on myself. And I will mention that if your permanent permanent housing or permanent supportive housing, and you are required by HUD to do that annual follow-up. And it has to be plus or minus 30 days of the entry date. I find setting a little reminder over here every time I have them enter or every time I do a follow-up so that I remember, oh my gosh, I got to go do that annual assessment. And so that's one way you could use. That's just all optional though, but that's just an idea going forward. If you're not an agency admin, they may set this up for you, but you are allowed to have some count reports. So by the way, everything in the system, if you see a little black arrow, you can expand it out and look at it. So over here, if I wanted to look at reports, I can click that little arrow and I can open it up and see those. So you can even, if you're working on a very small screen, I can close that navigation bar by clicking it. And then I have to remember when I need the navigation bar to click on that arrow and open it up. Okay. So this customized home dashboard, there is a really nice count reports that you might consider using. So I'm going to go ahead and click. What you do is you open it up and you're going to click that green plus sign. And that's going to add up. You can have 4 different counts. Now they are canned or, they're automatic in the system, but they are real time, which is nice. So if I want to set different reports, you could just do one. You could do all 4 counts. You're going to click that little pencil. And in the top left quadrant here, so right here, if I want to, I can pick a count. Now I'm a case manager, so there are a bunch here. Now, if I just want all the clients that are currently in, I can go ahead in a program. I can go ahead and do this clients with an entry, but no exit. That would be all my clients that are in the program. What I find caseworkers love are the My Client reports. If you put yourself as a caseworker, even if you're not a caseworker, you can put yourself in there because you want it to show on your counts. So if I put my clients here, as I add myself as the caseworker, then my numbers will grow and it will count them up over here. I will show you so if I go top right, and I'll just go ahead and do clients with an entry, but no exit here. And you can see that if I wanted to do the no exits, I want all of them over time that have not been exited from my projects. So I'm going to go to dates and say all dates. If you're doing an entry, you want to look at entries yesterday, this week, this month, you can go ahead and set that. I would set it all dates. And then if you have access to more than one of your projects, we call them providers. So you'll see that word provider all over, and that just means your projects or your agency. But that word provider is what that is. So I'm going to select provider. They have an awful lot of them, but I can do a search. And so I could just look at who is in my Kate Homes. Okay. So you can set this, which is really, and you could do 4 different ones. You could see up to 4 different projects if you wanted to. And I'm going to say, okay, right now, oh, I actually have somebody in. Okay, so good. I'm glad I did that. So let's go up, and the last thing you have to do if you have a report is you're going to go up and click save. That will save that. If you don't, if you forget, it will, the next time you log in, it won't be there. But this report is really nice because you can, if there was a number here, you can click on these numbers. Anytime you see a blue hyperlink, you can click on the blue number. And you can see that Jody Miller is currently in my program, Cape Homes. Okay, so you would get a nice list. And what's really cool is if I wanted, I could jump right to that client record by clicking the 3. Or you can download it also. So I could click download and it will put it all into Excel. So those are some really nice features, so that you can, if you need an Excel spreadsheet of all your current clients, you can do that. So I'm going to leave that for Caitlin. So if you want to remove them or change them, you click the pencil and you can just pick whatever you want in these tabs. So that you want. Okay, I think let's talk about on the left-hand side, there's last viewed. So if you've been, this is per session. So as long as I don't log out or I click that little X there, as long as I don't do that, this will show you the last 5 or 6 records that you've been in. So that you'll be surprised, you'll be in one record and you're like, oh shoot, that reminds me, I forgot to do such and such in the prior record. You can just open this last viewed area up and select it and go back to that client record. But as soon as you log out or you click the X to log out, you no longer want to be in the system, it erases. So this is just for each session. Now you do have the option of making a client your favorite. So you can, if you have somebody you're working with intensely and you just want to be able to go immediately to that client record, you can favorite them by clicking on the far right ribbon here. There's a star. So when you're in the client record, if you click the star, they will be in this list here. And you can edit it and change the order, and you can remove them, delete them once you're done. But every user can have their own favorites. So that's kind of a nice feature too. On this ribbon, as we go along, there is the star that we talked about. I'm just going to show you how to click in the navigation area. There is a fast global search where if I start typing a name, I could go look at a client, a resource, but I just find it easier to click on these navigations. But if you like that, that's what you can do. And then there is an online help, but pop-ups do have to be turned on. And you can click on that little question mark and it looks at where you are and tries to guess. So it will start you out there. But you can see here, I'm on the home page. So everything I've gone over is actually right here in the help. So that can help you also. The last, I left the best for last. The last little area up here is in the mode area. This will be your first step always. So when you come in and you want to work with that client, step 1 is to go up in the superpower area and select the project that client is either in or is going into. So your step 1 is always going to go over here. You're going to enter data as, and all this enter data as means that that information is going to go into that project or program. So I want you to think of those as containers. They contain all the information for that client. So when you click it, you will notice that Housing Assistance has a lot of programs. Most of you might only see one that you have to select. So in their case, they need to think about where am I going to be entering this information? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to add a client, a single client to emergency shelter. So I'm going to click that little plus there by emergency shelter. So this carriage house project, everything I do now is going to go into the carriage house. And as I go along, like my entry exit will default automatically to this project. So you don't have to remember to click the down arrow and select it. As you go along, everything goes into that project. When you want to switch, then you can just click it and switch it to something else. Or when you're done, you can leave. A lot of us have a lot of different hats. So if you only enter in one project, we potentially can change that, but then you'd only be able to enter into that one project. So if you have trouble and you're only entering in one, that is an area we could customize just for you. But in general, right now, everyone is going to click enter data as and pick their project. It saves clicks going down the road. So, all right, over on the left-hand side is Client Point. So I'm going to add a single client, and Client Point is the virtual file cabinet. So I always picture my bank of file cabinets over there. And so anytime you're going to work with a client, you're going to click on Client Point. I didn't see any questions on the home page. Is there anything anyone wanted to ask? Okay, just stop me as I go along. All right, I'm going to click on Client Point. And now you can see the ribbon turn green. So that is one of the ways. Also, this orange is because I'm on the training. It's a blue. It's a navy blue on the live site. But now I'm on this green ribbon. So that means I'm in the client. I'm in Client Point. So it's green. And it will always bring you to the search. So if you have what I've always called the service point number or the client ID unique to the system, you can just type that in here and go right to it by click submit. So if you track those or you're good at memorizing numbers, you can just type it in and go right to the client record. One of the differences between what you were doing in ETO is everybody had their own client record, right? So if one person came into different projects or agencies, at least, there was a different client record. In this system, it's been customized to share client record, which means that if they've been in anywhere, you're going to be able to use that client record. Now, the data inside, like all the assessment answers, are not shared, but the client record is going to be shared. So our goal will be to have one client record for every client that comes in, and then we're going to put them into various projects. So that is a little bit different, and I will, as I add these, I'll try to remember to demo that, and maybe Dan can remind me. So when I'm searching for the client record, it could be one that Housing Assistance Corporation actually created, but it could be somebody else's. Now, I don't have the historical data in here yet, but that's what will happen on Monday, is when you go to search for the client, you're gonna look and see if they're already in your system, because we are transferring that historical data over. I do have one client in here, so I want to kind of explain when you're doing a search, these ones that are not italics, so name, social, alias, those are the ones that the system will look for matches. All right, so name, alias, and social security. So if you wanted, let's talk about the name, I guess. If you know the social, that of course is best. So you could put the social in here and search for the client, and it will find any matches social wise. If you don't collect socials, then you're going to want to put the name in. Now, the name search, you do want to start, if you haven't been, using their full legal name, because you are using it for all of the CAPE. So everyone should use the legal name, and then you can always, in the alias area, let's say their name is Bob. You say, is your legal name Robert? Because Robert won't come, if you type Bob, that's not going to pull up Robert's name. So everyone does need to try to remember to use their legal name. Now, if they refuse or whatever, that's fine, but at least attempt, if they come in with common nicknames, to see if you could get their legal name. it does do for names, it does a sound X. So if I type JODI and do a search, it looks and it gets the JODY, it gets the JODIEs. And sometimes it'll even bring over Judy and anything that sounds like Jody. So that's why occasionally in your client result area, you are going to find some that you're like, how did that ever show up in my search? Well, it might be because the computer thought it sounded the same. So it will do that. It will do a sound, but of course, Robert doesn't sound like Bob. So that's why it is important to try and do that. And then the other thing is less is more. So if you know they're in there, the less that you put in here, the better, so that it will find that client. So if I know Jody's in there, I can just type the first name and search and see in my client results that Jody is there. If you are going to add a new client like I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and actually, let's go look at this one. So this one's already in there. When you see the 3 little houses there, that means Housing Assistance Corporation was the actual creator of this person. Now, if you ever get 2 choices of the same and one has houses and one doesn't, you're going to want to select the one with houses. But other than that, don't worry about the houses. You still want to all be working from the same client record. So it doesn't really matter if there's a house there or not. On Monday, we will have all the historical data in there, and Martha will want to know when you come across ones. We've already done a lot of cleanup in there, but we need to know the ones that you think should be merged. You guys all know your data better than we do, and we need you to send those to Martha. Okay, so send any ones that you see that are matches, that you think are matches, or tell us they are, and then we will merge those records together. So, but anyway, so if they are there, this is what you would do. You select the pencil, go into the client record. Now, if I was going to enter data, I would think about what data am I going to be entering? And this is where you're going to backdate. So you would click this little, and I'll do that when I enter the next one. But for right now, I'm just going to view this record. So I'm going to go ahead and use today's date. So I'm going to use my current system date. And you'll see that I land on the summary. And I could see some of their information. Now, if you go into a client record that you won't have access if it's a different agency that added that client, you can come into the client record and you can see their social, but this will not be filled out. So your date of birth, gender, and primary race won't be filled out because that is secure information. And that will be only as good as your agency. So if they came into the Housing Assistance Corporation, then I am going to see this information, but it's locked down per agency. So that will take a little bit getting used to, but this information is not available if they haven't been in your system before. To your agency, I should say, not system. But I can see, you will be able to see their entry exits, and you'll be able to see when they came in and when they left. Even if it's not housing assistance, I could see, and I'll try to remember at the end if we have time, I'll log in as a different agency so that you can see. You can see it, but if you click the pencil, you will not see any assessment information. So this will really help, that you'll be able to see, oh, hey, they're in so-and-so's program, or they used to be. You'll be able to see the start date and the exit date if they did exit. You'll also be able to see if somebody is currently working with the client, then they can add that case manager. So anyone on the Cape that is entering in here you would see that they are working with them. So this is what I call public information. You'd be able to see who they are working with if anyone fills it out. So that is what is shared in the system. Everything else is per agency. So, all right, so that's kind of what it would look like. Also, by the way, you could upload a picture if you have a picture of your client and you want it in the file, you can upload that picture also. So but that's not required and we won't go into that, but just keep that in the back of your mind. So I just wanted to show you what it kind of looks at like from the front end, but I'm going to go back. Anytime you want to go back, you're going to go over to that navigation panel and you're going to re-click on Client Point. Now it will save your most recent search, which can be really useful. So if you've searched for the client and somehow you got out of it, you can go back to your search and find it. Otherwise, you're going to go ahead and we're going to add a new client. We're going to add Kathy Smith has come into our emergency shelter. So I've got Carriage House, which I believe is emergency shelter. By the way, let's see if I can click on that. No. I just want to show you also that in parentheses is the type of provider that program is. So if you happen to see something wrong, let us know. Anytime you think there might be something that doesn't look quite right, you can go to your agency admin or let Martha know. So you can see that all of the projects are just regular, has the acronym, and then is the regular type, caps and lowercase. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. All right, so I'm in Carriage House. I'm going to go to Client Point and I am going to search. You always have to search, even if it's a new client. You don't know now. You don't know if they've been into any other organizations. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to search for Kathy Smith. So you can put first name, middle name, last name. You can put the social security here. I will say if they have a hyphenated last name, just put one of the last names. It will search and find that person. So like I said, if the first search doesn't work, so if I search, there's not going to, I already know there's only one client in this training database. So, but you're going to search and you're going to look. Now, if you're pretty sure this client's been there before, then, you can erase Smith and look for Kathy. You can broaden your search. All right. If you know their social, you can put that in. And I know now if I click search, I'm going to get Jody Miller because that's her social. Okay. So, but I would have to have one of these fields, name or social. So I usually do one like the social, and then I'll maybe do some name type things to try to find them. If you're pretty sure it's new, you can go ahead and fill out whatever you need. So of course I would ask Kathy if her legal name was Kathleen or something like that, but we're going to go with Kathy. And then once you are sure they are not a returning client and you're in here and they're not there, we're going to want to add the client. And what I say,
Hey, Jody.
add client. Yeah.
Just as an FYI, you have the same social security number on it as Jody.
Yeah, that's why it came up.
Sorry, just making sure we didn't get.
Yep. So, I mean, I knew because I had just put in the entire number. So I was just showing that, that's why Jody Miller comes up, because my social match. That one, hopefully that doesn't happen, but it does. People type things wrong. So. Okay, so before I add client with this information, I'm going to complete these italics. Now, these are HUD fields that they look at to see whether you've answered them or not. And it's letting them know what type of name is this. If it happens to be a a street name, your name, data quality, you know, you could pick partial or street. I'm going to say full name reported. By the way, suffix is junior, the thirds, that kind of thing there. So I'm going to go ahead and say full name reported, and then my social security, it was wrong. So I'm going to erase my social. And let's say that they don't have one for whatever reason. So I'm going to go here and I can say either the client refused or the client doesn't know. Now you're probably hopefully you're used to these fields because it's all prescribed by HUD. So this isn't coming from us or Martha or anyone else. This comes from HUD, what these drop downs can be. And I will say, if you start doing a lot of data not collected, that will usually come up in the HUD reports as a concern and that kind of thing. Now, if every project's different, but I'm just talking very generally. So you'll see these choices. The client doesn't know it. The client refused to give it, or you don't collect it. You don't collect that data. So those will be on a lot of HUD fields choices. In this case, I'm going to say the client doesn't know it. And then are they a military veteran or not is also part of the client record. So you will answer yes or no, whatever it is. It just keeps the most recent response. So if they came in as a no and then they became a veteran, you just change it to yes. In this case, she's not a veteran, so I'm going to say no there. So you do want to double check and make sure that everything is complete before you add the client with this information. So while you're searching, it's fine to just put in a few of the fields and search. But once I add this, I want you to picture that Manila folder, a brand new one with this information is going to be created. So I'm going to add client with this information. And I'm going to get a backdate pop-up. So this is where I'm going to think about, when did I collect this information? When did they enter the project? Any of those questions. And I'm going to go ahead because I want to show over time. We're going to pretend time has passed. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick December 1. And so I'm going to say they entered my project. I'm catching up my data entry. They entered the project and all my data that I'm entering was collected on 12/1. So I'm going to go ahead and say set new backdate. You can see in the background that it turned yellow there. Okay, so that means it's in backdate mode. So that's correct. And then you get a second pop-up. And this will allow you to add the client only, which remember, single clients don't have households in our system. So I can go, I'm going to do that first, and then I'll demo how to add a client that does have other family members, which is this add client and add new household. So I'm going to click on add client only, and that will take me to this summary tab. So right now, nothing has been entered, so there's nothing there, but you are always going to work left to right like you're reading a book. All right. Now, the only two that are absolutely required you're on the summary and there was no household. So the only thing you really need to do is your entry into the project, which is your next tab over. So I'm going to go ahead and click on entry exit. Now, because I EDA'd, because I backdated, everything should be correct when I add entry exit. So if you ever add an entry exit, it's the wrong project here, that you forgot to change your EDA or you forgot to EDA at all. And the project type or project start date should be the 12, whatever date it was that they entered the project. It should already be there. So if it's not, it's because you forgot to do your superpower area over here on the right. It's correct. And the only other thing we're going to train right now that you're going to select HUD. There are some VA programs that we will set up for VA. Martha will let you know. So we'll have the VA there. I can't remember if we got that done yet or not, but by Monday, we'll let you know. So only if you're VA, you're going to pick VA. Otherwise, everybody else is going to pick HUD. So that's the only thing to do on this if you've done everything correctly. And then we're going to save and continue. Now, if you save and continue and do not get an assessment, then you've picked the wrong type. Okay, so, but everybody in this system is going to pick HUD. On the left-hand side, if there were household members, we'll see that when I add some household members, they would be listed here. So this is each folder. Right now, we only have the one file folder, so it's Kathy. And you'll notice age is unknown because we haven't done date of birth yet. So now I just need to answer, and these are all HUD prescribed questions. We marked if it's all clients, all our labels are blue. So if it's all clients, everyone needs to answer to the next blue one. And then these only need to be answered if they're an adult or they're a head of household, meaning they're 16 with a baby. So technically they're not an adult, but they are a head of household. Then you need to answer the questions below that. And if you're outreach, we even have that labeled. And you'll notice if when we do the permanent housing, there's some other fields there. So we've labeled if it's only certain programs, excuse me. We've labeled that. So I really want to go through this in detail. So some of it may be review, hopefully is, because these are all from HUD fields. I will say, see the padlock with the exclamation point? That means the only people that can see any data I enter here are the people at the Housing Assistance Corporation. So whoever goes into the Housing Assistance Corporation, logs in, they don't have to, you don't have to keep re-entering data. So you will not have to keep re-entering date of birth and relationship to head of household and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that saves you some data entry, but nobody else will see it. So if they go to a different agency, then that agency, it will come up blank. They will have no idea it was answered. So relationship to head of household, hopefully you are used to answering that. So this is a single client. So self is their relationship because they are the head of household. You're going to put in, and you'll notice they're bold with an asterisk. We do not allow you to go on. You have got to answer these two. This is how all of HUD reporting, date of birth is so important. If you don't have, if there are some ethnicities or races, I think it's ethnicities that don't, or races that don't track like a birth date, but they know like they're 30 years old, then you can do the 1/1 and the date, so you can get it in there because this is real important. This is what determines whether it shows up as a child or an adult in all of HUD's reports. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a birth date. You can just type it. If you do the 06, it will automatically space over to the 07. If you just do 6, then you need to click in this box and do 7, and then click in this box and do 1960. And for my date of birth type, I'm going to say full date of birth reported. Gender, you now can pick more than one. This is a brand new data field that HUD came out with. So if you want to pick more than one, I could pick female. You do have to hit the control button down and then select the other one if that's what they're going to do. So you can select more than one by hitting your control button. If you just have one, you can just go ahead and highlight it. So that's how it's going to look. It'll be highlighted. And then you can go down. Now, as I said, I used to do like 500 a month. So I would come in here, primary race. if I'm here, if my cursor's here, I can do A, and that will bring American Indian. And if I hit A again, it will go right to Asian. So if they are, in this case, she'll be white. So I can hit W and enter. And that will select my white. And then now, from now on, all I have to do is hit tab. Now, secondary race, anything that's optional, we indent it in italics, meaning, so if they have more than one race, you could tab, and let's say they're Asian. So I could hit AA and it will go to Asian, and then I can hit tab and hit N. So if I don't like have to hit all those little down buttons and choosing, once you know what the choices are, the first letter, then you can just tab and, you know, and hit what you need. So I could say, I'll say yes here. So I'll hit a Y. So you'll be surprised how fast you can go through there once you're used to it. Which brings us to something called a sub-assessment. So there's always this general question HUD does a lot of, if it's yes here, then you need to have a particular disability. I don't know what it was in your system, but it may be that they asked all the different questions all at once, or, you know, each line they ask, do you have this disability? Do you have this disability? Do you have this disability? Anytime there could potentially be more than one answer in our system, you're going to see a sub-assessment, which you can kind of tell by the green line and the little add button here. Now, sub-assessments the first time, it used to be that HUD let you say just yes, just the yeses, and you didn't have to do all the no's. Now you have to record all the no's. For a few years now, you have to record the no's. So we've tried to make it easy, and we have something called HUD verification on the right with an exclamation, which means you haven't done it right. So well, we haven't done it at all in this case, but if you see this, please look out for that, because it means that there's something wrong in there. So I'm going to go, this will be your fastest way, especially the first time you go through these. You're going to hit HUD verification, which sends it over to Well Skies incomplete. So nothing's been done here. And then the rest of them are HUD choices. And what you're going to do, these are all the questions. And so the first thing I do, since there's usually more no's than there are yeses, I will move them all to no. And up here in the middle area, you can select no. And that moves them all to the no area. So you don't have to go and, you know, answer yes, yes, yes. So, and then once you get them all in the no, whatever one is yes, you can just click on. So let's say they have alcohol use disorder. So I can click on that yes button. It will have a little pop-up. And they want you to put in this yes here. You can see the, or you can say yes or no there. But this disability determination, since I selected yes, it defaults that way. So I don't have to go in and change it yes. So this means they do have an alcohol use disorder. And then they have that secondary question, if is it going to be long-term, and that question. So I'm going to say yes there. And then you're going to see something called a start date. Now this really should be like information date. So this is fine. It will default correctly. I backdated, everything will default to this date. So this does not mean when did your alcohol use disorder start. This means when did you find out it's true. So information date. HUD uses that now a lot. So that's what you want to think of. The rest you don't have to do. You could put a note on your disability if you want. Everything else is retired. So that's the only thing to fill out. And then I'm going to go ahead and click save. All right. And so then that moved it to a yes. The rest, it will automatically put them in as no. And so I'm all done and I can save and exit. So this should speed up that area for you, and it will put them all in there. Now you can see it's showing 1 of 5, but there's 8 different disability lines. here. So I would have to keep hitting next, next, next if I wanted to see the answers. So we created this little magnifying glass. So if you want to see all the answers, you can click on the magnifying glass and it would show all the answers, all the disability types and all the answers. Now, when I click on disability determination, if you want to sort and you want to look at, maybe you want start dates, any of these fields can be sorted. Right now it's on effective date. You'll notice that's 12/1 because we've backdated. So I'm going to click on the disability determination. That will sort that field and bring my yes up to the top. So as you get more and more of those fields in there, this is really, really handy so that you can see what is currently in there. Now, this is a new client, but just remember that you can click that magnifying glass and you can sort by any of the column headers by clicking on them. So we're going to come up against another one, covered by health insurance. I'll just continue to say yes and pick one so you can see it. But if it's no, it's really easy. You just say no there, go over to HUD verification, click the no, brings them all over here. And then let's say they get Medicare. So I'm going to click on the yes. And that doesn't have any question pop up. So it's just a yes, no question, period. So I'm going to select yes, everybody else is no, and save and exit. So you'll see a little covered there and there'll be yeses and nos. Again, you can click this